Washington County Attorney describes a boy's heroic efforts to save his sister. A community gathers to celebrate the unveiling of a new pavilion. And is tourism impacting the quality of life in Springdale?
You're watching St. George News at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Amy Bennett. In the aftermath of the sentencing in the case of Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt, an interview with the detectives and the Washington County Attorney provided insight into the heroism of the boy who went door to door for help. Here's Cody Blowers with more on the story.
Following the sentencing hearing held at the end of February involving Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt, St. George News sat down with the detectives assigned to the case, Santa Clara Ivan Sergeant Nick Tobler and Detective Jessica Bate, whose tireless efforts ultimately resulted in both defendants being sentenced to prison. Both commented on what they found in the house, the abuse, and the impact that the case has had on both investigators. Washington County Attorney Eric Clark, the lead prosecutor in the case, also commented on the charges, the nature of the abuse, and the courageous actions of the 12-year-old that day.
The first 24 hours of the investigation, I would say those were the busiest hours, but then the investigation itself, that drug on for 3-4 months, just with several different interviews, family members, prior victims of Jody Hildebrandt. The abuse appeared to be long-term.
We ended up making entry into where the girl was found, and to see her sitting there in the middle of this room, empty closet in the dark.
Those rations were tiny. She would keep food from them for days at a time, and on top of that, they're doing physical activity for 18 to 20 hours a day. He's jumping on the trampoline in 110-degree weather for 8+ hours at a time. Like, that alone, on top of a growing boy, and then you're serving him that ration.
Clearly we can prove to a jury emotional abuse, torture, malnourishment. So we can prove those things, and then even if we had 60 counts, right? If we had or 120 counts, if we charged them for each day, and they'd been convicted of 120 counts, under state law, they're still capped at a maximum of 30 years.
They're tough. They're tough situations. They're not something you really, it's not like I came to work today thinking I'm going to handle this case today. This isn't going to be something that's come across my plate. And when you respond, you deal with it. You deal with the emotions as they come. I remember getting in the back of the ambulance and taking the photographs and doing the initial interview with the boy and trying to decide what we had. And when I got out of the ambulance, you check your emotions again, like, okay, here we go. It's time to get to work. But just the courage he had. I mean, he saved his life. He saved his sister's life, and who knows how many more. I
would try to come up with ways to talk about this, to convey how bad it was. But until you see, the video of him walking up to ring the doorbells, or until you see the photos of the state those two kids were in, you get how awful this abuse was. You get that it was inexcusable. This is horrific, aggravated child abuse. And the first time that he ran away a month earlier, he didn't try to go to any houses. He just tried to make it to the lights of Ivan's town, to the police station. And sorry, it just always hits me. The really bad abuse happened after they caught him from that. The fact that he was emotionally strong enough after he runs away the first time and then is horrifically abused for several more weeks, and then physically gets on his feet and runs away a second time and keeps ringing doorbells until he finds someone who can bring him in.
Thanks, Cody. The power of community support was highlighted during the dedication of the Chuckawalla Trail Day Use Pavilion. Here's Stephanie DeGraw with the details.
The Chuckawalla Trail Day Use Pavilion was unveiled on Friday. Donors for the upgrades at the trailhead include Vera Bench Rowley, the Black Desert Resort, the Ironman Foundation, the Erica Lockhart Trust Fund, and Friends of Snow Canyon State Park.
Thanks, Stephanie. Tourism's impact on Springdale residents was recently explored by Utah Tech University students who presented their findings to the community. Let's go back to Stephanie DeGraw for more on this.
Utah Tech University students explored the impact of tourism on residents of Springdale, the gateway to Zion National Park, recently. Utah Tech University Associate Professor of Communications, Aaron Ortiz had this to say about the project.
Well, let me start with the easy part. This project allowed my students to really demonstrate active learning, active life, where we were able to get into a community and learn about the community and present the results to the community in a way that we hope helps them with their goals. And in return, it really certainly helped my students um, learn about research.
The research timeline was fall 2023 to spring 2024. Students partner with the town to help with their needs through the City Alliance program. It also provides learning opportunities for the students.
Now we'll go over to Aaron Crane for your weekly sports update.
Thanks, Amy. 4 Region 9 baseball teams played host and defeated their opponents in 2 games on Thursday and Friday. Number 1 seed Dixie swept Cottonwood, Snow Canyon defeated Mountain View, Desert Hills won over Uinta, and Crimson Cliffs rallied to beat Juan Diego. Meanwhile, Pineview was swept, ending their season with a record 17-13. Desert Hills, Snow Canyon, Cedar, Hurricane, and Crimson Cliffs softball all advance out of the Super Regional round. The teams are slated to play in Spanish Fork on May 15th and 16th for bracket play for a chance to make it to the finals. Now back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Aaron. Crimson View Elementary School's hallways echoed with critters and nature, buzzing with life during the Amazon Comes to Crimson View art show. Here's Bridger Palmer with the story.
I really like seeing everyone's together.
Crimson View Elementary School on Thursday hosted its annual BTS art show. This year's themed The Amazon Comes to Crimson View. The open house style event featured unique student artwork from each grade, make and take crafts, and photo opportunities. Among other things, kindergartners made monkeys, first grade made butterflies and piranhas, second grade made ink blot poison dart frogs, third graders created tie snakes, fourth grade made reptilian clay eyes. Fifth grade made black caimans and watercolor jaguars. BTS in the name honors Beverly Taylor Sorensen, who was an arts advocate. Sorensen's nonprofit helped fund the event, and although the program occasionally faces funding challenges, strong district support ensures its continuation, said art director and third grade teacher Christine Sewell. Sewell said that even though Crimson View is a STEM-focused school, art provides a joyful respite for students, especially those who struggle academically, emphasizing creativity over perfection.
Thanks, Bridger. Wellness advocate and author Sydney Williams has partnered with companies AutoCamp and Field Station to present the Hiking Your Feelings tour. Stephanie DeGraw again has more on this.
Sydney Williams has partnered with AutoCamp and Field Station to present a series of events. She is a wellness advocate, wilderness guide, and author. Williams created mental health programming through outdoor experiences and had this to say.
We try to create an environment where people are able to find healing in nature and then in return give something back to the land. Because for me, it needs to be a reciprocal relationship to be intentional and meaningful.
Williams has released a book on the healing power of nature called Hiking Your Feelings, Blazing a Trail to Self-Love. She is in Utah during May, which is Mental Health Month.
Thank you for watching St. George News at 5. I'm Amy Bennett with St. George News, your #1 source for local news.
This has been St. George News at 5.